right, so we have my lovely mother here joining us tonight, and excellent. Thank you for being here first off and sharing your story. And I know before getting into the healing journey and the path you went through, you wanted to take a moment and share with people just a little bit about some of the events leading into your diagnosis.
Okay. Yes, I'm happy to do that. My lovely son. Thank you, Norm. Um, I just want to say that I knew before I was diagnosed that I had not been on a very nice journey. I was unhappy. I had felt unwanted, unneeded. I had retired. And so I was in a state of limbo, and it wasn't a very exciting place. And I went for an annual physical, and for the second year in a row, I expressed to my doctor that I had some abdominal complaints. And he sent me immediately for a whole bunch of tests, even out of town, and that sent me into a trigger state of wondering what was going on. So,
Yeah, for sure. I noticed with you and your journey, I noticed with others as well that when that starts to happen, we go from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist, and test to test. It's almost like a spin that our world gets flipped inside out, and it can really rock us and take us from our center. I'm sure that was a very challenging time for you.
it was. And as soon as I heard the words whispered ovarian cancer, and with that, stage four, um, it went further, and I started Googling like mad because I knew nothing about ovarian cancer. It was terrifying to hear from um, the traditional medical people that I had less than a 30% chance to be alive after a couple of years.
Hmm.
And this was the regime of chemotherapy and surgery and more chemotherapy.
Hmm.
Not something I wanted to look at.
No, and yeah, when I first heard about it from Dad, he mentioned that you'd been diagnosed, and I was sharing with him about some of the truths that I've learned through my studies. And one of the things I went to was Dr. Donald Epstein's piece that he said, the common denominator that all cancer survivors have is their willingness to fight for their life. And when I shared that with Dad, I started laughing because I knew right away that if my mom has one quality, is she's a very tenacious woman, and I feel that that was one of your strongest allies through this journey. But I know it wasn't always easy for you. You were warned going into it that there was going to be days that you'd feel like you were dying, that things were, really coming to a head. And could you share with our people a little bit of some of the trials and tribulations that you went through in your journey?
Definitely. Um, there was nobody in our home city who was specialized enough in his medical training. So I was sent to one of two surgeons in central Saskatchewan who was qualified to do this type of work. And by the time I could get in to see him, I had read a lot from the Mercola, from uh, different holistic practitioners and their suggestions. And you had led me to German New Medicine. I'd realized that I wanted to face cancer as a disease of body, mind, and spirit.
Mm.
And I dealt with the spiritual side right away and gave over to God, let go, let God. And in so doing, I felt I was absolving a bit of my own ego, I think, and then it became a very different type of journey because um, I was able to contact holistic practitioners, and they immediately made room in their busy lives for me.
Hmm.
And I was working with a team. By the time I saw the surgeon who was to do the work with me, the oncologist, gynecologist, oncologist, surgeon, I had a team working with me and I was feeling stronger. And when he met with me and I let him know this, he said, I will be your doctor. I won't work with a team of people I don't know. And it shattered me. Talk about low points. That was
Mm-hmm.
probably the worst.
Mm-hmm.
But
You were challenged in many different capacities for sure. And I know that every hero has an adversary.
I've learned that. It
Yes.
became a big part of this journey, didn't it? Because having to face him and say, no, I will do this my way.
Yeah.
We went seesawing back and forth through the whole time, right up to the minute I was going in the door to surgery.
Yes.
So
Yes. He pushed against you. He really challenged you for sure.
he really did.
He helped you uncover your own inner truth and what was important to
Yes,
you. And thank you for
yes,
honoring that. Absolutely. One of the things, key ingredients I see for people not only in the cancering process, but also in the health and wellness process, is that they uncover their own unique recipe of health and wellness. And you certainly did that in your own journey. It was an integrated approach. You worked with many different people and many different modalities. Could you just highlight a couple of those things, including not only the practitioners, but some of the things that you were doing yourself?
definitely. Um, Thanks to you and your brothers, I started juicing
Mm,
right away. And I'm juicing to this day, and I
mhm.
will probably juice to the day I die. It's one of the things that I'm carrying forward from this disease. Um, and the juicing was very, very supportive in keeping some energy going and just all of that green food. I was juicing wild things like stinging nettle. Who's heard of that? But we were picking it by this big bag full and juicing it every morning. Um, Essential oils. I was bathing in essential oils. I was rubbing them on the roof of my mouth. I stopped at the point where perhaps something I'd read online has suggested I could do it as an enema, and that just didn't sit well with this lady. No, not going to do that one. But and many of the things that I would read online, I would think, no, I'm not comfortable with that. No, that doesn't feel right. And other things I would read about, immediately I felt I have to pursue that. Intravenous C being one of them. And okay, I was going to two Reiki people. I was going to a body talk practitioner. I was going to a wonderful older Chinese fellow. I had to drive 2 hours to see him, but he is a very respected homeopath. And almost daily, you and I spoke, and the coaching that I got through you was phenomenal.
It was
So
awesome.
I'm sure I've missed some things. Diet became important, but my whole journey was focused on this disease being body, mind, and spirit,
Yeah,
and what could I do to keep moving forward in all three areas.
absolutely. You were juicing, you were doing meditations daily, you were doing SRI work.
Right,
I know
the
there was,
breathing
yeah,
work.
there was also a tremendous amount of healing that happened both between you and dad and between our family as well. We often
Yeah.
joke, you and I, that we see cancer as a family affair, right? And we need to move some things forward in our family, which really helped your healing journey. I know.
Yes, when I said body, mind, and spirit in my mind, as I had told you, I was feeling unwanted, useless, and family stepped up and erased those thoughts for me and helped me move forward
Mm-hmm.
and made me feel valuable again.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I felt it was one of my top roles, in working with you, is just to remind you of your light. We talk
Yeah,
nearly every day, and I texted you regularly throughout the day. It would be, just reinforcing some of the memories that we had together, right? Of some of your strengths, some of the things that I really see as being your greatest gifts in life. Because we do forget that at times. And I think,
and
especially in tough situations, we can lose track of that.
yes, yes. And you also allowed me to grieve, because there were some days where I had to just be very sad.
Yeah.
And that's allowed, and
Yeah.
it can't be escaped.
I
Yeah.
know. And,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things we learned through the German New Medicine approach, which is a vitalistic perspective, not only on the cancering process, but on all disease process, is that it sees the innate intelligence of the body actually working with these disease processes as a way to work through our own internal glitches, our own internal conflicts. And much like a
Yes.
pimple comes to a head and then resolves itself, the same too as with the cancering process, where it comes to a head and it dries up all the old dissident energy, the unfinished business, and
Yes.
we go through a dark night of our soul. Right? We go through a really
Yes.
uncomfortable place, and just as you shared earlier, it was much like a layer of your ego was able to be released.
Yes. Yep. An old part lets go and a new part starts to grow.
Something new
Yeah.
emerges. What was phenomenal
That's
for
right.
me in watching in your healing journey is how, initially there was a bit of a victim that happened, right? And we get that so much from the outside, from the doctors, from the diagnosis, from our friends and family, that we feel like we've been victimized. And then there was a period where
Hmm.
you really shifted your mindset and you said, no, no, I'm a survivor. I'm going to make it through this.
Yes.
If you remember, there
Yes.
was a period of a few days where it was like God just moved these people into your life, and there were so many people
Mhm.
that came to you. People really want to help, don't they?
People do really want to help. And as I said, this group of practitioners, this team that I had, they just shifted all sorts of their lives to make sure, you included, that I got what I needed from their care, and they worked as a team. For a while, I was trying to set up 2 appointments in one day. That was too much. I didn't have it in me. It left me jarred and whatnot. So things had to move slowly. I had to be patient. I
Mm-hmm.
had to keep my energy flowing
Yeah,
and not overextend it, for sure.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's you listening to your own innate, you listening to your
That,
inner guru, and knowing what you had
yes.
capacity for and what was too much.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
fascinating for me because there was times that I would suggest something that I think you should do this, and I was kind of, one of your main coaches and allies through that, and you would check in, and 75% of the time you'd say, yeah, that's right, and then sometimes you just, no, I'm not into that. You got so
No.
connected, you got so clear on your intuition and what was right for you.
That's right.
Yeah. I
Yes.
remember doing SRI with you, and the last time I came home before your surgery, and you were doing the SRI in position 3 in your belly, which was a place of a lot of internal conflict, was an area of high tension. As you worked through the process, that actually got to be your resource.
I remember.
Mm.
Yeah. Yes. And um, learning what resources there are, and it all just gives so much strength.
Mm.
And yep. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you for tapping into that. Now, there was times where, to be honest with you, I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. You really took me to my edge of my own, and you stretched my beliefs of what I thought was possible as far as the body's ability to heal itself. Most specifically was the second time that I came home. That was the time where you were the most distended. And so for people to get an idea of this, you were blown up much like you were 9 months pregnant. Okay.
Yes.
There was a lot of internal discomfort. And I left that weekend uncertain if you were going to make it or not. I know through that whole journey, there was a lot of people in your lives who were very uncomfortable with your diagnosis. You had friends and family members arriving on your door in tears. And in those times where I didn't know what to do, I kept going back to the foundations, to the key pieces that I knew that were important for health and wellness. And one of the pieces that we worked with was play and laughter. And just how
Yes.
important laughter was for you to engage with your friends and family. Could you share just a little bit about that, please?
Um, well, I really had to instruct everybody who came to see me that I was going to survive and I was going to do it my way. And there was no other way to think about it. I remember the day, though, that I went for blood work, and I saw my oncologist, gynecologist surgeon, and he gave me the regime and wasn't going to work with as a team. And my blood markers were still going up, and I was feeling so deflated. And I came home, and you had a suggestion that I had to go on YouTube and go to a particular laughter video.
Yeah, for sure. And this is one of the things that we teach through the My Inner Guru program is, we often think that we laugh when things are funny, but we can actually laugh and create funniness in our lives, right? We can create laughter. And so what I wanted to do right now is to take a moment with you right now, and we're going to take 1 minute. Do you have a timepiece over there? Oh goodness, it's starting already. That's great. Do you have a timepiece there?
I might have a timepiece.
Okay, excellent. That's great. And before me and Mom get started here, we're going to invite everybody else on the webinar. Yes, this is it. That's fabulous. Oh goodness. Okay.
I started.
Yeah, and we want everybody at home to participate with us as well. And this is 1 minute of spontaneous laughter. So please participate. Excellent. Awesome. We did it. That is awesome. Thank you so much. When we laugh like that, it increases our immune system. It changes our epigenetic expression. It changes how our DNA is expressed. And it's available to us at all times. I think it was just so daring for you, so courageous for you in the moment, in the heat of the moment, in your darkest hour, to be so willing to step into laughter and to be able to laugh and shift your state just like that. Absolutely an inspiration. That's fabulous. Now, through the journey, the end of the story is you did elect to have surgery.
I did.
And you had a conversation with the surgeon going into it. Do you want to tell the last bit? You go ahead.
Oh, sure. Well, let's back up just a second. We had to drive 2 hours, and I was to check in by 7:30. So, of course, we had the alarm set, and I got up at 5 in the morning, went to the bathroom, went out to the car, and my car was dead.
Yeah.
And my car never dies. And so luckily my husband has a vehicle, Dad has a vehicle. We hopped into his vehicle and off we went. And we got to the hospital on time and got all checked in. And as I had planned, we got into the pre-surgery cubicle, and I had my iPad with me, and I turned on my favorite meditation for healing body, mind, and spirit. And I was tuned into my meditation and trying to relax, and your dad was with me, rubbing my back. And I saw feet go in front of me and come back, and I opened my eyes, and here was my surgeon. And my surgeon sat in front of me, and he said, I want to review the procedure. And he suggested that he would be putting ports in for the chemo.
Yeah.
And I shook my head. There will be no chemo. There will be no need for chemo. This has not metastasized. We have a growth on an ovary, and you'll get rid of that. And he stomped out. For the second or third time in our relationship, we had met, and we always locked horns. But your dad pacified him. I went into surgery, and miraculously, the ovary had only a very, very, very small little growth size of a shriveled mushroom. And I came out of surgery, and everybody was treating me like a miracle person. I didn't know I was doing something so extraordinary.
Yeah.
I thought people did this all the time.
Right. Uh-huh.
No,
Yeah. No.
no, no,
Yeah, you met the chaplain in
no.
the church afterwards who you were sharing your
That's
story
right.
with,
Yes,
and he'd never heard
yes. The
such a thing.
hospital chaplain came up to my bed
Yeah.
and wanted to pray with me, and he asked my story, and I told him, and I said, "You must encounter this. You've been working this job for a while." No,
No.
you're my first.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fabulous. And so they drained 7 liters of ascites from your belly, right? And he came,
that's right.
and your surgeon came out dumbfounded. He really didn't have an understanding of what had happened through there. And I know
No,
myself, at first, I thought it was a miracle as well. And that's the way I communicated to people. But then as I sat with it, I realized, and I thought, you know what? No, this is a natural law. This is what happens when we provide our bodies with optimal high nutrition, when we surround ourselves with love and humor.
when we tell our mind only positive survivor stories, that was
Yes,
the only thoughts.
yes,
Yeah,
this is a law of life. This is what happens. Now, one of the people you worked with through the journey was a functional medical doctor. And afterwards, you were sharing with him your story and your journey of all the different things
yes,
that you did, and also a couple of the
yeah.
pieces that happened within our family. And he said his response to you was, "Oh, it sounds like you pulled a ho'oponopono." So the ho'oponopono, for those who don't know, is an ancient Hawaiian shaman healing technique, and it's something that you worked with unknowingly throughout your healing journey. And it's actually one of the quantum amplifiers in the My Inner Guru program as well. And so Mom and I are going to do this right now. And we encourage everybody at home to participate with it. You can speak it into the screen to us. It is going to have an effect. This is a very powerful statement, very powerful declaration. So thank you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Hmm. I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Hmm. Please forgive me.
Thank you.
Hmm. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. Hmm. Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, one of the things I mentioned to you at the end of your healing journey when you got to the other side was the importance of sponsorship,
Yes.
right? It's easy for us to pay attention to our health when we're in a crisis state. Okay, it's easy for us to build our health up when we really need to. And what's going to carry it forward is passing it on to others, much like we are here. Now,
Yes.
I know from your journey that our family is different now, right? You've
Yes.
forever impacted your grandchildren's lives on their viewpoints of death and dying, on cancer, on the disease process. I know that they are impacted. I'm curious to hear from you. What's next for you? Where is your excitement? What are you wanting to do with the next chapter of your life?
Initially, I thought when I was told that I was cancer clear, I thought I have to do something really big, really magnificent. And I just couldn't settle on writing a book or going on a speaking tour or something like that. What I am seeing in reality is the strength of the ripple effect.
Hmm.
People hear my story, whether it's with a swimming group or at church or at a social event, wherever I go. Checking out of groceries yesterday, I was told, "My, oh my, what a healthy woman you are," as the clerk loaded my groceries. And I couldn't help but smile and say, "Yes, they helped me survive.
Hmm.
Good food helped me survive." The ripple effect. Here was a woman, and she's heard the story of a survivor now.
Hmm.
And you have to keep that ball rolling and keep it going in your mind, in your spirit, and any other way that you can.
Yeah.
So I'm not feeling that there's been any huge shifts,
Right.
but it's extending out through the universe as it should.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important to get. Some people think we have to make these quantum major shifts, but it's in the moment to moment choices. And it's the little things
Yes.
along the way. There's tons of opportunity in your day to day at the grocery checkout, talking with your grandkids, or meeting us on a webinar tonight. Sharing your story is a huge inspiration. So thank you for doing the little things. They matter, they have a huge ripple effect. And with that, I'm going to leave you. Thanks so much for joining us on our webinar.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Norm.
You're so welcome. We'll chat with you next time.